Hi, it's Andrew from Sea on Fly and Tackle, and I'm going to show everyone how easy it is to figure out the river salmon fishing regulations for Region 2 Lower Mainland. So I'm going to show you how easy it is to go to Fisheries and Oceans website, and we're going to locate Region 2 Lower Mainland Recreation Salmon Fishing Limits, openings, closures, everything we need to know for river salmon fishing in Region 2, the Lower Mainland of British Columbia, is going to be on this page. So I get asked a lot in the store, how do we figure out what the limits are, if we're allowed to go fishing, if there's a bait ban, how to ID fish, the size limits for fish, all that sort of stuff and a lot more is on this page. So really easy to find it all here. There are no hard copies available of this information from Fisheries and Oceans Canada unless you physically print off what is on this page yourself. So I just simply go to this page, look at what I need to know before I go salmon fishing. Now I'm going to show you exactly what I do to find river salmon fishing information for Region 2 Lower Mainland rivers. So first of all, we're going to go to Google to the search bar. And I'm going to use the Vetter River for an example. So I'll put in Vetter River salmon fishing. If I can spell it right, regs. That'll work. So Vetter River salmon fishing regs. When I put that into the Google search bar, that takes us right away to Fisheries and Oceans Canada website. You can see the bar here says Region 2 Lower Mainland Recreational Salmon Fishing. So everything that I need to know for Region 2 Lower Mainland, rivers like the Vetter, the Chehalis, Harrison, Squamish, Capilano, you name it, Stave, if it's in Region 2 Lower Mainland, that's our area, it's going to be in this Fisheries and Oceans page. So it's just as easy as, again, going to the Google search bar and then putting in Vetter River Salmon Fishing Regs, Region 2 Lower Mainland Salmon Fishing Regs, your favorite river in Region 2, put it in there, this will pop up. So here we are, Fisheries and Oceans, Canada, Region 2 Lower Mainland Recreational Salmon Fishing Regs. Click on this. Now it brings up everything we need to know for Region 2 Lower Mainland Recreational Salmon Fishing limits, openings, closures, you name it. If we need to know about it, this is where I find it. All right. So I always recommend reading everything you can on this page, get all the information you can, and then there's nothing you'll need to worry about. And you're going to want to check this page throughout the season because sometimes there are different regulations that come into play that we might not know about or might not be advertised the first time we look. So it's a good resource to go back to throughout the season. Anytime before we go fishing, if we're not sure what the rules and regulations are for salmon fishing, Region 2 Lower Mainland, here it all is. So we'll go through and we'll see things like the times a day you can fish, areas you're allowed to fish, size limit, retention limits, of course, all the rivers that are open and closed and when they're open and closed, bait bans, hook restrictions, all that stuff is in this page. I always recommend clicking on any tabs that you might see that might give extra information. So in this case, we got learn more about fishing for salmon. This is a really good resource. If I click on it, it'll basically tell you everything you need to know before you go. So it'll give you any of the latest openings and closures that may not be listed already in the main page. And it'll also tell you about identifying your catch, for example. This is a really good resource. I'll click on that and it'll describe the different salmon. So all 5 species of Pacific salmon are in here. If we scroll down, it'll tell us how to describe a mouth, tail, distinguishing features, all that sort of stuff. So we need to know what salmon species we're fishing for, how to identify them, of course, if they're open or closed, where we're going fishing, and how we're allowed to fish for them. So this really helps out. So I'm just going to go back to the main page here. We'll keep scrolling down, just more information, more ID features to figure out the fish we're catching for. Gear restriction, catch and release tips, really good resource there because we're not allowed to keep every salmon we catch. So we want to know how to properly catch and release them. So there it is here. Transporting our catch, the salmon head recovery program that Fisheries and Oceans offers, which is good to know about as well. So lots of good resource information here. We'll go back. We're going to keep scrolling down. Now this is really important. So this next graph or tab shows us basically the salmon limits, openings, and closures. So this is what a lot of people want to know. Where and when can I go fishing? What am I allowed to fish for? So first of all, very important to read this little bar right below the header. and it says there is no fishing for salmon in Region 2 except for the opportunities listed in the table below. So that means you cannot fish for salmon or that type of salmon in a river if it's not listed in this area here that I'm scrolling through. So we'll go back to that in a sec. So really got to pay attention to this line right here because it's going to carry through the whole next section, which shows us what is open and closed to fish for salmon in Region 2. So we'll go back. We'll go down all the way to the Vetter Chilliwack River. I use that as my example just to get us in here in the first place. So here we go. It's actually the Chilliwack Vetter River, including the Somas River, and this is all the same river system, basically in different areas of the Vetter River. For example, the upper Vetter River is actually referred to as the Chilliwack River. The lower Vetter River, where it meets the Sumas River, it changes names again, but everything we need to know for Vetter River is on this tab here. So we'll look at Chinook salmon, for example. So we want to know if we're allowed to fish for Chinook salmon in the Vetter River, and it tells us right here, July 1st to August 31st, you're allowed to keep 1 Chinook salmon per day. So there we go. And then that changes September 1st to December 31st. You can now keep 4 Chinook salmon per day, but only 2 are over 62 centimeters. So in this case, over 62 centimeters is referred to as an adult Chinook salmon. Under 62 centimeters would be a jack Chinook salmon. And I scrolled through it without showing you, but if you went back to the previous area on the page, it would actually describe in detail what adult or jack Chinook salmon are and how to manage them and the size, the restrictions with them. So that information was in the previous area, but we now know we're allowed to fish for and retain adult and jack Chinook salmon throughout the fall, late summer, fall. Coho salmon, for example, July 1st to August 31st, non-retention. So that means you are allowed to fish for coho salmon, but you're not allowed to retain them or keep them during that time period. However, that changes September 1st to December 31st. Now you are allowed to keep 4 hatchery marked coho salmon per day. And how to ID your hatchery marked coho salmon is back in the previous area of this website that we looked at already. So that information is available to you there. Chum salmon. So we have recently had a chum salmon closure for all of Region 2 Lower Mainland rivers. But previous to that closure at July 1st to October 25th, there was a non-retention rule. Again, that meant you could fish for chum salmon, but in a catch-release manner only, no retaining chum salmon. That switched October 26th until further notice. They've now changed it to no fishing for chum salmon. And then there's a fisheries notice right here, which is the updated fisheries notice, which explains everything about where, when, why the chum salmon are closed now. So if you don't see a salmon listed in this area here, so we've left out pink salmon, or I should say Fisheries and Oceans Canada has left out pink salmon and sockeye salmon. They're not on this Vetter River tab. That means you are not allowed to fish for those fish, because we've got to go back to this line right here where it says there is no fishing for salmon in Region 2 except for the opportunities listed in the table below. Pink salmon, sockeye salmon are not listed here, so there's no opportunity. So we cannot even fish for them. To be able to fish for them, we would need something like this non-retention notice with pink salmon or sockeye attached to it to be able to just go catch release. Of course, if we're going to keep them, it would have to show the amount and the type that we would be allowed to keep. So this is where I'm going to get all my information. If I'm going to the Harrison River, same thing. It'll list coho and chum. Other salmon that aren't on here, there is no opportunity for. Of course, chum are now closed, which the fisheries notice is here. Areas of the river that are open and closed, bait bans if there's a bait ban, hook size restrictions, all that sort of stuff goes all the way down the table. And again, of course, if we don't see the river we want to go to in this table, that means we are not allowed to go there and fish for salmon. So that's simply how I find out all my river salmon fishing regulations for Region 2, the Lower Mainland. Really valuable resource from Fisheries and Oceans Canada. Region 2, Lower Mainland Recreation Salmon Fishing Limits, openings, closures, and everything else we need to know. Can't say enough. This is where you got to go to find it. So I hope that helps explain how we figure out the regulations for salmon fishing. There is no hard copy of this available unless you physically print it off yourself and keep a hard copy. It's all found on the computer. So we'll go to Google. We'll just punch in simply our favorite river we want to find out about, Vetter River. salmon fishing regulations, or I just put in regs. It's as simple as that. That brings up this whole Fisheries and Oceans page. All the information's there for us, plain as day. So should help us, be more knowledgeable anglers out there. And we can also help our fellow anglers out by explaining these regulations and helping them know where to go to look for it as well once we know this resource. So again, hope this helps everyone, and I hope you have a great salmon season out there. Good luck on the river. If you need any more of these valuable bits of information, we do a lot of YouTube videos at Sea Run Fly and Tackle, so you can always find our YouTube videos online. Please give us a like. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Of course, there's always lots of information just on our website. You can find everything on our website, as well as we do Facebook page and Instagram page and all that sort of stuff. So lots of good information out there, like this video and all the other ones we do. Lots more to come. Good luck. Have a great salmon fishing season.